Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot. My name is Cyndy. Thank you so very, very much for being here. I'm so grateful for the ongoing support, encouragement. I love the new subscribers. I adore the old subscribers. Thank you for the thumbs up and the comments. They mean so, so much. So I thank you all for that. For new subscribers, welcome to the Soulprint community. I hope that you enjoy your time here. So this is the week of crazy, right? This is, I'm recording this actually on the Monday. You're going to see this on Tuesday, March 21st. But it is the solstice today. And so, um, there's, more light in the Northern hemisphere, and we will continue to gain more light and less light in the Northern hemisphere. Right now, everything's equal. Um, and I always like that, right? Because it always feels like, the more sunlight, the lighter things are. And of course, sunlight is a great disinfectant. And that kind of feels a little bit appropriate for what's going on this week with Trump and the whole Stormy Daniels and Alvin Bragg. And are there indictments? Are there not indictments? He over the weekend started talking about how he was going to be arrested on this Tuesday. So today, as you're seeing this video on the 21st. But as of Monday, today, where I'm actually recording, there's a gentleman by the name of Mr. Costello who is currently testifying in front of the grand jury. Or the jury. I'm not sure if they're a grand jury. I've lost track, frankly. But anyways, he's testifying. So that means they're still hearing testimony, which means the jury has not been handed the case, which means they have not yet voted on indictments, and then those indictments have not been filed with the courts. Is all that going to happen on Monday so that he can be arrested on Tuesday? Pendulum. Let's find out. Pendulum. Okay, for any of you who are new, side to side like that, it means the pendulum is ready to talk. Show me yes. And that is a yes. Show me no. And round and round. Okay, so back and forth is yes. Round and round is no. Side to side is it's ready to talk. So let's just start here. Is Mr. Costello going to be an effective sort of defense witness for Trump? Okay, so no. So it looks like whatever he has to say isn't going to really change things, I guess, in the eyes of the jury. Okay. Is the grand jury going to be handed the case sometimes this week? Okay, that's a yes. So the way I understand it, the jury convenes on Mondays and Wednesdays. Okay, so that means, in theory, if they're not handed the case on Monday after this testimony, and they go through that whole process of figuring out, what the charges are, it feels to me more like Wednesday. So is Trump going to be quote unquote arrested this week? Okay, so that's a yes. So is this later on this week or very early next week? Okay, so that's a yes. And I appreciate I'm sort of fudging the question a little bit. But definitely, let's look at it this way. By this time next week, will Trump have been indicted on charges? Yes. Is Trump going to plead not guilty to those charges? Of course he is, yes. Now, I think there could be up to 11 misdemeanor charges, but there's 3 categories that he can be charged with. And the way I understand it is the first category is those misdemeanor charges, and the next 2 are criminal charges. And this, of course, as you all know, this is the Alvin Bragg case with Stormy Daniels and the hush money payment, etc. Are there going to be 3 or more charges that are filed against him? That's a yes. Is one or more of them going to be a criminal filing as opposed to a misdemeanor? Okay, and that's a yes. All right. Now, let's talk about this nonsense that's going on with the message she sent out over the weekend saying, I'm going to be arrested on Tuesday. I need all my supporters to protest, protest, protest. We have to take back the country. You know, the usual nonsense. She really does sound more and more crazy. But, you know, this is a thing I want you to all remember, and do not give it any energy. This is what happened in 2016. He would say more and more outrageous and crazy things, and then the media would have to repeat it, and then it would get out into the energy fields, and then everybody got anxious or everybody got worried. And always remember, energy is energy, it's not positive or negative. So if you start giving this thing a bunch of energy, you're playing right into his hands. Like, honestly, I wish the media would just stop talking about him. But the reality is that he is a force to be reckoned with, whether we like it or not. And you kind of have to keep your eyes on him. And what's that expression? Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. There's a reason for that. So let's just ask a few yes/no questions. I'm going to talk to Spirit and just see what they have to offer us. Okay, so did Trump send out those messages because he wants to create, or he is attempting to create, a January 6th type of gathering? Yes. Oh, I just heard. Now, I don't know if this happened today or last week, but apparently 6 oath keepers were found guilty on a whole slew of charges. So, again, he certainly didn't pay their legal bills, did he? Alrighty. Is he actually going to be able to corral those hard mega people, or or those other people who have other agendas but use the event to further their own causes? Okay, so it looks like, yeah, he's going to be able to gather a bit of a crowd. Is this going to be anywhere near the size or intensity of January 6th? Okay, no. Is this crowd going to get out of hand at all? No. So as we know, New York has started setting up, guardrails and boundaries, and a whole bunch of like government agencies are involved in the strategy in terms of how to get Trump in and out with a minimum of fuss. But that in itself is kind of curious to me, because I don't think he wants it to be a minimum of fuss. I think he wants it to be a huge fuss. But let's see. So are the police and all the other forces going to have the situation in hand? Yeah. Okay. So I just don't think that's something that, generally speaking, we need to worry about or be concerned about. So, yeah, let's leave it there for now. I'm going to do a very quick few looks at the bottom of my deck. Okay, so let's just do a 3 or 4 card layout and see if we can zone in on how Trump is doing. Okay. Let's not forget, always remember that he is one of those people who he doesn't care if the attention is good or bad. He only cares that they spell his name right. Okay. He's just one of those people. So let's just get a couple of quick cards here, and let's see if that can give us some insight. There's my greedy King, Trump. And let's see if we can get any clarity on how Trump's doing. What's going on with him? It's been said that his lawyers plan on being really combative. Well, that's not a big surprise, because that's the way he wants everybody around him to behave. And of course, not calling this Mr. Costello to testify until today is exactly that. It is a delaying stunt, right? Because even if they were ready to hand over the case to the jury today. Well, they couldn't do that because now all of a sudden this Mr. Costello has to testify, and he apparently was for a period of time Cohen's lawyer, but he was Cohen's lawyer sort of under the umbrella of Trump. And then when Cohen said enough is enough, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not going to, carry your water, basically. He pulled back and got a new lawyer. Okay, so this guy's supposed to be a defense lawyer, but I don't know what he's going to say that's going to completely defend, Trump and his actions. But, it's just me. Let's take a look. How's Trump doing? How's Trump doing? How's Trump doing? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So interestingly enough, he's got the Four of Wands, but I'm not seeing it as a positive celebratory card. It feels more like the negative side of that. So this is his intention to draw that crowd, draw that community, because he is truly, truly fearful of what's coming down the road. And let's not forget, he's got the E. Jean Carroll case coming up. There's another case that's ready to go to the courts like really soon, like in the next couple of weeks. I can't remember which one it is, sorry. But I know there's one starting. The Jack Smith thing, of course, is still going on. He is starting to feel the walls closing in on him because, that's what happens when, you know, you're really sure that indictments are on their way to you. Okay. You really actually start to feel the pressure and the walls coming in on you. In some ways, he actually still believes that he has enough support, enough clout, enough whatever to move through this, to manipulate it the way he has frankly gotten away with his whole life. The problem is that the truth is going to prevail. And again, you've got that defensiveness, that walls closing in, and the greedy king card showed up. So that's what we have there. And look at this one at the bottom of the deck now. Let's see what else is at the bottom of the deck. Over emotional, the Tower, wishes and hopes, broken heart, loss. Okay. Disappointment. All right, so that's where he's at. So I think for all of his bravado, he's probably very, very scared and very, very concerned. This is the thing about Trump, right? And the latest thing is that he wants Bragg investigated for trying to interfere in a presidential election. Okay? That's his story, and he's sticking to it. All right, let me get one of my wands. I'm just going to use this straight selenite one. So, Spirit, what is it you would like us to know about Donald Trump at this present time in terms of indictments being handed down, in terms of his legal trouble? So when this starts, it's going to snowball, all right? It's almost as if once the first shoe drop falls, okay, it's just going to continue to escalate. So I think that what you're going to see is indictments here, and then probably not very far from there, you're probably going to see the Georgia ones, looks like, and the Jack Smith ones. Like there's so many investigations going on, and it really does feel like once the first one sort of happens, the rest are going to follow fairly quickly. And in and of itself, that really there needs to be some concern and some care with regards to the optics. because certainly the prosecutors, law enforcement, district attorneys, that kind of thing, they're all very mindful and aware of the fact that they don't want it to look like every agency everywhere is ganging up on him, even though he deserves it in most cases, as near as we certainly can figure from what we see out in the public domain. But they want to be very mindful that he doesn't look as if, he's sort of getting body slammed over and over and over again with these cases. Um, because that really is going to create, that's going to fire up those supporters of his. I don't know, in ways that probably you don't want to see. Also, it feels as if, um, sort of if too much happens all at once, stuff gets lost in the process. Trump's lawyers are already running around going to the courts. He's trying to convince all of the courts to delay the court cases until like 2024 into 2025. And of course, into 2024, that's really where you get the whole, well, really, this is just political. They're interfering with my run, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, Trump is only running to save his butt. Trump is running because he's mad and he is looking to do a revenge tour. I don't care what he calls it, retribution or whatever it is. This is a revenge tour, or a revenge presidency is what he's planning and hoping for. But I don't actually sort of see that coming about. So yeah, there's that sort of snowballing effect is what I'm seeing. So this is kind of the things. It doesn't look as if the defense actually has a defense. Their defense appears to be just being combative and arguing and pushing back, but with no real sort of ability to do so. Um, if for those of you who may have seen that lawyer of his, I can't remember his name. I think it starts with a T. Um, on Ari Melbourne, where he was like trying to get the paper away. They can't handle being confronted with the truth, and so what they do in return is they sort of get aggressive and in your face, but they don't actually ever say anything that defends the defendant. Okay. Um, the Republicans are once again caught between that rock and a hard place, right? They're in that place where it's like, okay, well, we for the vast majority of them, they want to move past Trump already. They're kind of done with him, but they're in that place where they can't go against him because they're frightened of losing their base. They're frightened of, him sending people to attack them. Then they don't want to lose their political positioning or their seat. And so they find themselves in that awkward place where, because of their own selfish motivations, they end up agreeing with him, whether they do or they don't. And what kills me is they don't understand that Trump's power is diminishing. Fox News's, or entertainment, or whatever the heck they call themselves, their power is diminishing. They continue to lose Trump supporters. And, it's not by massive numbers, but there are, mega people who don't believe now what Fox is saying. And it was a huge percentage. There was a poll that came out last week sometimes, and there's a huge percentage of people that said if they found out that their news source was lying to them, that was it. Well, goodness gracious. I mean, what else do they need? So I don't see Fox sliding into this all that easily. And so the power is diminishing. But the problem is, unfortunately, it looks like by and large, you have a lot of politicians who have lost their spine. I think they buried it, okay, because I don't see them recovering. I really don't. I think that those people who have lost their spine in the Republican Party are just going to, pretty soon, they're going to be like, what is that? Like an amoeba that doesn't have a spine, like a jellyfish, right? Kind of going with the flow, and the flow these days still is what Trump says the flow is. From this day forward, there is going to be long time ago, I said Trump's demise is going to be death by 1,000 cuts. And it feels very much like this is when the legal cuts start, okay? Actually, not exactly now, because there have been some sort of pretty good slices taken already, but it's going to continue to escalate. The energies are just not with him. The energies are such that misbehavior, misdeeds are going to be, there's going to be a demand for honesty, for clarity, for punishment. And so I don't see this energy working out very, very well for him. And it feels like it just goes on and on and on. Astrologically, I know that some astrologers have said, like, this part of 23, 24, and 25 are all going to be horrible for him. And energetically, that's what I'm seeing or feeling. Um, and again, the pendulum wants you to remember that it's important that you don't let your anxiety levels go right through the roof, because that adds fuel to a fire, unintentionally, but it does. So in some ways, you kind of almost have to take what is going on with, the former guy and his family and all the stuff swirling around him. Um, you need to, sort of look at it and remain calm and simply trust that the light prevails. Okay. There's also a case that's coming up fairly soon, and I don't know which court it's with, or I don't know who's coming after him. I think it's New York something. But that's the one that involves him and his family and business practices. That one is also not going to go very well for him at all. And now, of course, there is the FCC or FEC or whatever it's called, who are now investigating the fact that the parent company of Truth Social, which is one of Trump's companies, I think, but they're now being investigated for money laundering because a big chunk of money came from a Russian who has very close ties to Putin. So there's a lot going on, and honestly, not a lot of it is good for him. All right. Anything else, Spirit? So Spirit wants you to know with this energy shift that is starting now, and we're really undergoing that shift to the fourth and fifth dimension, it's important that you realize that it's not like the world splits in two, okay? But it's like the perceptions of people kind of split in two. So what you have in some crazy way is almost like you have people who are functioning at various levels in dimension 3, 4, and 5. It is a feeling of um, what different people hear and see and take in. What their reality is sort of different from the next person. That's part of what this energy shift is about. It's not alternative facts or alternative realities. It's just that globally, people perceive and respond to different situation and events on very different levels, depending on where they are in that period of transition and transformation. So again, it's about keeping your energy and your thoughts at their highest possible vibration. All right, this has gone on longer than I wanted it to, so I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so very, very much for being here. Anybody looking for a private reading, in the drop box below is an email address. It's soulprint888@gmail.com. I am currently booking readings the week of the 3rd of April. So that's like not a long wait at all if you're interested in having a reading. Also, for any of you who have been looking at my ring and wondering what the heck this is, I will tell you, just a star sapphire surrounded by diamonds set in 22 karat gold. It is a pretty piece, but not one that comes out of the jewelry box very often. All right, so thank you ever so much for being here. Until next time, take care, be well, and get your popcorn ready. Bye for now.